I mean, one of my favorite ones that I show a lot of people is the headache release point. How many people deal with headaches? Right? I'm not talking about your husbands now, ladies. Come on. You know, right? So how do you release a headache while you work naturally with your energy flow? Okay? 50% of our headaches through the day start with the gut. They're all on the same meridian. So as an energy technique, you simply have to do this, make a V with your hand. You take your other hand and the flat part of your thumb, you layer it over, and then you take your thumb past this sort of web part further down and you squeeze. You do a pumping motion. Over all these years of research, it's been shown that this point here called the hoku, if you do a firm with the flat part of your thumb, pumping action, and breathe, it will start to release and relieve pressure in the head or the gut. And you need to do both sides because you'll find one side is often the offender. And it'll tell you on which side the energy block is. And by doing a nice firm squeeze on it, okay, and sometimes have a neighbor do it for you because people can hurt others much easier than they hurt themselves. I haven't done all the research, but I've noticed that, you know. Oh, you want me to squeeze this hard for you, Linda? Come on, let me squeeze it for you, you know. But you need a firm, and what you're doing is you're actually sending a message down through your nervous system to correct a blockage in the energy pathway or to create a release or to rebalance. And when you do that hoku point, you do that for 7 or 8 or 10 times. Sometimes you gently massage it with a nice firm thumb a few times. And within a couple of minutes, you'll start to feel the tension releasing, the headache clearing, and suddenly you can think more clearly. Simple energy release technique. Okay? And there's so many of these techniques just at the physical level. Did you know even blessing your food is an energy technique? Can you understand in terms of the energy rods today why that would be? Just taking a moment, can you imagine by the time food reaches your table, how many hands and minds and energies it's been through from the time it was in the ground? Can you imagine how many thoughts and thought processes have gone into that one dish of food that's in front of you? Or maybe the 3 dishes. I've looked at you guys. Yeah, okay, right? Have you ever just stopped and said, oh my gosh, how much energy, and have they all been positive and happy energies? Just in case some of those energies are not aligned or synchronized, and you would like to have only the positives, you actually do a blessing. You do a little prayer and a blessing, and what you're doing is with your thought, and with that very energy that I showed you can make the rods move, you're actually synchronizing and harmonizing the energy of that food. So that when it comes into your body, it is harmonized. And we can take the rods and we can measure before blessing and after blessing, and you'll see a distinct difference. Okay? The studies in illness showed it beautifully. That I think Larry Dawsey did the studies, and they showed that they had given just numbers, number 8, number 25 to a person, said number 8 has just come out in the hospital, they're recovering from a gallbladder operation, and number 25 is just coming out of and recovering from post-operative cancer. And that's all they knew about the person. And they had 2 groups. And the one group prayed for these people, 5 or 10 minutes, whatever a day. Just prayed that they would get better, and they visualized them. Okay, from their homes, they just sat down and visualized them being healthy and vital and going out and having a great time. And all the statistics came back. And guess what? The group that had been prayed for healed 40% faster. 40% faster. What was it? So we can do the same thing with our own issues. See? If I have an issue I'm dealing with, I can bless it. I can pray. I can change how I feel about it. Right? I can actually go in and say, how do I wish to feel about this? How can I bring, and the word we use is healing to this. How can I lighten up? Rather than how can I change it so it stops being a pain to me? Because very hard to change it, whatever it is. And the more we try to change it, the more powerless we feel. And the more we get into effort and frustration. And when we're in effort, when we're frustrated, our energy doesn't flow. The minute we let go, suddenly our energy is open, let go, and somehow there's an ease and a flow that happens. So physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, ask yourself on those 4 levels, where are my stressors? What are my emotional stressors? What are my mental stressors? What are the physical stressors? Am I having too much of this? Am I taking too little of that? I think that it's good for me. I'll have people argue with me in my coaching practice, when I'm working with a person. I work with all of you. I never just deal with your emotional stuff I deal with all of you, physical, mental, emotional, spiritual, because that's when we get results. And I'll say to you, well, it looks like you really have a kind of an addiction to this substance, whatever it is, right? And they'll defend it to the death. Oh, no, it's the only thing I do, and I need it, and it just makes me feel good. How can you argue with that? It makes me feel good, right? And I'm going, but that's not what your energy is telling me. And they're going, and I go, okay, don't take my word for it. We'll take out the energy rods, and I'm going to show you what your body is telling you when you give it that substance. Energy doesn't lie. We lie. We lie to ourselves. We lie to others. We are very convincing. All the logic in the world. But energy never lies. So when you start to understand how to manage your energy, how to direct the thoughts, will it make all the stresses in the world go away? No, because we learned that misery is guaranteed. We're here to learn and grow. You go to university, expect exams. Don't go to university and say, well, why are they giving me exams? You might not like them, but you accept them as a way to learn and grow. It's how you relate to the exam and what you do with your energy, again, will show you how well you'll be able to make your way through it. So start to have a look at all the stressors and the stresses in your life as opportunities to grow, in which you're not particularly trying to change them, but instead, from the inside out, you're looking at how you can change how you feel and therefore think about them. Despite the fact that you might feel you're totally right. Okay? It's a tough thing to do. But when you start to do that, you start to find that very little stresses you, or when something does end up stressing you, it doesn't last very long. Or if something starts stressing you, the impact is minimized because you've stepped into the driver's seat and taken charge of the process by recognizing that it was never outside yourself. Whether it's a person, a circumstance, an environment, or a situation. Right? So-and-so stresses me every day at work. No, they're not stressing you. You're choosing. You're allowing them to stress you. Don't give them that power. Take your power back by recognizing. And on the other hand, I know there's nobody in this room like that, but if you're being a pain to someone, you might want to find out what your energy is doing. Are you being the negative out there? And how can you change yourself? So you stop being as invasive with your energy, or even toxic, as you finding others are. Folks, people just never told us any differently, any better. We just never knew. So it's not about good, bad, or ugly, or blame. It's just about naming a dynamic, understanding the principles that are involved, and then saying to yourself from this point on, that from this day on, forget stress management. I'm actually going to become an energy manager, and I'm going to learn how to manage my energy and therefore decrease the negative impacts or the impacts of negative stresses in my life.